welcome back to my channel. So today I am doing a collaboration with the lovely Trixks illustration, and she's actually here with me right now.
Hello.
So basically we are doing a bit of a creature design challenge, and she has decided to pick an animal for me to sort of combine with a dragon. Now she has chosen a New Zealand animal because she's from New Zealand, and yeah.
So here I actually talked to my Discord members about picking out a New Zealand animal for you because I had like 3 options and I just couldn't pick which. So I left it up to them and you'll never guess which they picked. They gave you a brown kiwi.
Aww. To be honest, I thought maybe. I thought maybe a kiwi because, you know.
Yeah, it's the more iconic.
Yeah, that's quite funny, and honestly, that's going to be really cute. I can't wait to do it.
I can imagine something like big and fluffy, but I won't put any ideas in your head. No, it's totally yours. So
okay.
I wish you luck.
Thank you, and I hope I do it justice.
I'm looking forward to it.
So before we start, I just want to tell you guys a little bit more about Trixks illustration. She is an illustrator and artist who lives across the seas over in the beautiful land of New Zealand. She does a lot of amazing digital illustrations. Her style of digital painting is just absolutely beautiful. Seriously, I wish I could paint digitally like that. But she also dabbles in traditional art a little bit as well. She is an animal lover just like me, and she has a particular love for wolves. Her wolf illustrations are both amazing and beautiful. She also has a big obsession and love for all things Disney. She creates a lot of awesome Disney fan art. Her drawing holding Stitch is one of the cutest things I have ever seen, and that's probably one of my favorite illustrations of hers. Not only does she create awesome Disney stuff, she also creates great Pokemon art as well. She recently did this very, very majestic illustration of Umbreon using only 2 colors to paint with, and it's such an awesome piece that I have to tell you guys about it. So yeah, she also recently made a Spider-Sona, like I did as well, so if you enjoyed my Spider-Sona video, you should definitely go check out hers. So I'm definitely going to be leaving a link to her Instagram as well as her YouTube account in the description, and I'm also going to show some of her art up on the screen as well. And yeah, you should definitely go check her out because she's definitely very underrated and I think she deserves your support. So anyways, we are starting to talk about the art now because I have rambled on a little bit. So this artwork is basically I'm using the same sort of process that I do my usual T-Dragon artworks. With those, I sort of prefer to do the black line art because it just gives it more of an illustrative sort of comic-y feel, and I feel like it adds a bit of detail that I sort of can't get with the pencils. So that's why I prefer doing it this way for my dragon artworks. Not always though. But yeah, I basically started off the sketch, and I'm sorry I couldn't record the sketch. The main reason was because I did so many sketches. I probably drew for hours and hours trying to get a proper design down. It was very, very difficult to actually draw a creature that looked both like a kiwi bird and a dragon, mainly because these are very, very different sort of creatures. One is sort of small, round and adorable, and the other one is like sort of gigantic and majestic and sort of scary. So it was definitely a bit of a challenge for me, but to be honest, I'm always up for a challenge, and I love these sort of challenges because it pushes me to sort of refine my process a bit more and try and experiment and see what I can get. So at the start of my sort of experimental stage, I actually started looking at the skeleton of a kiwi bird, and I found that with the skeleton it does look like it has a lot longer neck than it kind of looks like, because obviously there's a lot of fur on the, or not fur but feathers and fluffiness on the kiwi bird, making it look round. But I tried to experiment and see if I could make a dragon out of those sort of shapes, but it didn't really I don't know, it didn't really turn out looking like a kiwi bird at all, and trying to get a dragon in the shape of a bird just didn't look like a dragon very well, so I just decided to try and go back to basics. I basically had a look at a kiwi bird, a lot of kiwi birds actually, and I just basically drew down the very basic shapes. Now, as you can see, this drawing we have here on the screen now is it contains a lot of round shapes. This is what I started off when I was doing the initial sketch for this drawing, and I just used a lot of sort of round circular shapes, and then I added that sort of long snout onto the dragon just to try and symbolize that really long beak that the kiwi bird has. Now, of course, with these sort of shapes, it's very undragon-like. However, I tried to sort of emphasize the almost dinosaur-like properties of a bird, because to be honest, when you make a sort of bird look more lizard-like, it's going to end up looking like a dinosaur. And of course, dragons and dinosaurs are very similar, but there are some notable differences between dragons and dinosaurs. Mainly, dragons have huge wings. Also, dragons are mythological, they breathe fire, they're magical, they've sort of got a fantasy element. And yeah, so I definitely wanted to try and give some of those attributes to this character here. But one of those attributes I felt like I probably shouldn't add, and that's the wings. Because a kiwi bird is a flightless bird, and I wanted this dragon to be as much like a kiwi as I could get it, while still looking like a dragon. But I don't know, adding wings onto it sort of felt like a cop-out a little bit, because I wanted this to look a lot like a kiwi bird and still a dragon, but I felt like adding wings would make it too easy just to make it look like a dragon. If that makes sense, I don't know. Anyways, so I still wanted it to have that sort of dragony feel, so I decided to give it those sort of spikes on the back of the character. Now, I made these look sort of like wings in a way, but they're definitely not wings, they are spikes, and yeah, they definitely add a little bit more of a fantasy feel to it. So another thing about the design of this dragon is the sort of forelimbs on the dragon. Now, if you have a look at what a kiwi bird actually looks like, you can't see any wings, mainly because I think they do have tiny wings, I'm not sure, but it's very much covered up by a lot of fuzz and feathers. But I kind of prefer when dragons do have forelimbs. I feel like it makes it look more like a scary dragon instead of a dinosaur. So I definitely wanted to add in some kind of forelimbs for this creature. Now, I was like thinking it is very dinosaur-like, so I might as well sort of push it in that direction a little bit, and I gave it sort of undeveloped wings, if that makes sense. But they're not exactly wings because they don't fly, and they're not huge or anything like that. They're sort of just like forelimbs with like feathers sort of on them, if that makes sense. Kind of like a T-Rex, I guess. And yeah. But anyways, after I got down the rough sort of design for this creature, I actually decided to scan it because I had it sort of sketched really tiny, and then I printed it out onto some larger paper, and then I refined the sketch over the top, and that's what you saw at the start of this video. Now, after that, I actually decided to trace it onto some of my Express-It blending card using my COPIC multi-liners. And now, as I mentioned before, I do this a lot with my dragon illustrations just because I love the sort of aesthetic and the look. After I got that done, I went into the background and the habitat. Now, for inspiration of the habitat, I actually looked at a lot of images of kiwi birds, and I found that a lot of them had this sort of foresty background, and a lot of them were sort of dark images, mainly because I believe the kiwi bird is nocturnal. So I thought it just made sense that I would draw this with a sort of darker background, because I just wanted it to be more like a kiwi bird and have this sort of dragon be a nocturnal creature. So I drew in some nice little fern shapes in the background, and of course I had a sort of leaf litter forest floor, and yeah. I did have a lot of fun drawing in the background. I find that sometimes this is one of my favourite parts of the illustration because you get that down and most of the illustration looks like it is complete. And I feel like I prefer to do the background first because, I don't know, I feel like when you shade in the character sometimes you have to sort of redo it after you do the background, so I prefer to do the background first, if that makes sense. I'm probably not explaining that very good, but oh well. Now, for the colours of this dragon, I definitely wanted to have a lot of browns for the kiwi because, well, it's a brown kiwi. So I actually used a lot of soft sort of brown colours, and I did sort of variations in the feather patterns on this dragon, mainly because if you have a look at pictures of kiwis, it's not just one sort of solid colour. There are sort of flecks of different colours in the feathers, and some of them sort of look like they have a bit of a speckly pattern on them, so I definitely wanted to include that. Now, for the other colours on this dragon, I definitely wanted to have a bit of a fantasy vibe and a bit of a pop of colour. So I added in some very, very bright colours, I believe honey and acid green, and then after that I refined it more by adding some highlights, as well as adding a bit of a tuft of smoke coming out of the dragon's nose, just to signify that this creature definitely breathes fire, and it's a dragon, not a dinosaur.
So yeah, are you ready to see the kiwi dragon? It's a bit of an interesting one. I think it's, I don't know, it'll be slightly different to what you expect.
Okay.
All right, are you ready?
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, boom.
Oh.
Can you see it?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah. I tried to get him to look like, obviously like a dragon,
Yeah.
but it was very hard to make a creature that looked like both a kiwi bird and a dragon.
Yeah.
Because it's so different from each other. If you cross like birds and dragons, you kind of get something that's a little bit dinosaur-like.
Yeah, I see that. Oh, I love that how puffy it is, but it's also got like the long snout, so it is kind of like that kiwi element in there.
But obviously making it look like a dragon kind of made the snout look a bit crocodile-like.
Yeah, I was like, oh,
so I was like,
you got a bit of croc in there.
The background was inspired a bit by like I was looking at kiwis in like the natural environment and stuff like that, and a lot of them did have like plants and stuff. So I was like, well, you know what, I'm gonna put them in the same sort of like environment. So
yeah, I love how you got like the ferns in there.
Yeah.
A bit of kiwiana in there.
Yeah, I added like the puff of smoke coming out of its mouth, so it's like, this is a dragon, not a dinosaur.
But they're kind of similar. Basically, the only difference between a dinosaur and a dragon is wings.
Exactly.
So it still counts.
Yeah. I was very tempted to give it wings, but I was like, since the kiwi's like a flightless bird, probably a good idea to give it like flightless attributes.
Looking at the tail, it's a little tough. Aww.
Yeah, I had to give it a lot of round shapes, and the tuft is pretty cute.
Oh my god, yes. It's adorable. Oh, this was so much fun.